Hey there, everybody, and welcome to the Fearless Thinking Podcast, designed to help you navigate authentic leadership and the entrepreneurial journey. I'm your host, Michael Devous, and these are my thoughts, lessons, and insights from my entrepreneurial journey into coaching, workshops, motivational speaking, and of course, what I picked up from interviews with inspiring leaders and entrepreneurs along the way. My mission is to help people unlock their untapped potential by using fear as a catalyst for powerful change and growth, so they can step into the greatest version of their most authentic selves. All right, let's get into some fearless thinking. Hey everybody, happy 2025. I'm Michael Devous. I'm your host of the Fearless Thinking Podcast. And today is January the 13th. Oh my God. 2025. Happy birthday to me, by the way. I turned 55 on January 4th. And I just can't believe I'm 55. I mean, honestly, anybody who's gotten this far, if you are with me, you're with me, you understand. It is almost by the time you get here, I guess, it's unbelievable that you make it this far, that you even survive all the things you've put yourself and everybody else in your entire life through. Um, So it's sort of like, I don't know, it's not a surprise, but I will say that it feels like a little bit of a shock, to the system. In fact, I was, getting prepared for, uh, this whole coming week. This past week is coming back, from family vacation, well, from holidays, and, getting ready for this big event and a few other things that are lined up on my calendar, and I completely blew past my birthday and my sister's birthday, and was like, I mean, I was full on into January already, working on all these other little projects and things. And I don't know, it just, when someone said, "Hey, you're turning 55," I was like, "No, I'm not." I mean, I just turned 50. And all of a sudden I was like, having not a slight meltdown, but I will say a bit of a shock, that it snuck up on me so quickly. So anyway, welcome to 2025. This is I did a big event this past um week, but I'm using the title from that event as sort of my framework for this episode, as well as the rest of 2025, which is future proofing your success. Feelers thinking in 2025, the roadmap to success. Future proofing. Well, let me stick with the script, because I mean, we wrote it, it's in here, so I might as well get to it. We're gonna kick off 2025, boop, 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 as we talk about takeaways and insights from my recent speaking event. A lot of updates and things from this past fall, which I'm very excited about. This event was called Future Proofing Your Success, a roadmap to 2025 and beyond. And we worked on how to discover how to embrace fear in the new year, a fearless mindset, turning our challenges into opportunities, and of course, creating a roadmap for achieving our goals. Shared this event with the Chamber of Commerce here in Colorado Springs, which was really fun. I love being here. I told you guys recently I moved to Colorado Springs, and um, I have just been so welcomed, and it's been so wonderful and being welcomed into this community, by all the different organizations, groups, and peoples and stuff like that. So I'm super excited and I'm super thrilled that I get to have this. That I don't know. It's like that God is smiling on me, the universe is smiling on me. Whatever your belief is in the energy of the world and the universe out there, I've put things together and I've lined them up, and I feel pretty good that things are coming together. I do wish I had more help. That's, and that's not just, that's like, well, that's because I need it, first of all. Second of all, um, I just don't slow down. I keep coming up with so many things, ideas, thoughts, you name it. It's just how my brain operates. And it would be great when I get something to a certain point that I'm like, ooh, 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 okay, here, hand it off. You run with it. I'll oversee it, whatever. I'm ready to move on to the next thing that's filling up my space in my brain for creativity. That's the way I function, and I wanna be free to be able to do that. But in order to be free to do those things, I think all of us have to remember, that we have to put things in place to help us be successful that way. And part of that is both building in revenue and scaling, as well as putting into place all the other strategies, tips, tricks, things like that, in order to ensure that the plans you're making, the efforts you're putting in, all this stuff for 2025, your businesses and whatnot, stay successful, right? That they stay on target and on track. And if you're like me and you're ambitious and your mind is constantly operating and working, as new things come in, it can literally just dump stuff out, mm, to make space and to make room. So I'll be talking a little bit about that later as we talk about some tools and some apps and things we can use to just help manage some of this, right? So 2025, brand new year. I didn't make any resolutions because I don't do resolutions, but I do have intentions for my new year. The biggest one I think I would say for me right now really is just one word, and it's the BUT, but. Eliminating but from my regular dialogues and my interactions. Trying to find ways to use alternative phrasing and terms and words that are more inclusive, that are more collaborative, that are more encompassing. Because I think if we use the word "but," we are discrediting, we are, basically saying what we just previously said doesn't count. We're discounting what we just said, the phrase or the term or the sentence. I talked about that this morning in our opening for, Send Hub Mondays live, and, I just think I think it's really important if you think about that word and you think about taking it out of your lexicon, that perhaps you'll think of other ways to say stuff, and I also believe that your intention behind making the statement becomes different when you realize you can't put a caveat on it. You can't put a disclaimer on it. So, that being said, I'm gonna reflect on this event. It was at, Colorado Springs Chamber of Commerce, Future Proofing Your Success. It was their In the Mix event. They do 6 of those a year, and this was their launch for 2025. It was a big success. Lots of people attended. It was a lot of fun. I had a good time. I did lots of cool slides and music, and I had surveys and polls that people could participate in. And I had a hat you could draw your name out of to win some cool books. And I'll talk about that later um, because I want to mention where these ideas came from, but I also want to share with you why I think it's important, these books and things. So, what the segments that I had in the event was that number one, valuing yourself. Number 2, the impact of fear. Number 3, the defining our success and KPIs. And then finally, number 4, the journey towards future proofing your success. And then segment 5, which was just sort of like, here are some tools and some tips and some apps and things to help you uh, take action on all of these different things. I'm all about apps. I'm all about tech. I'm all about tools. uh, in fact, I probably should, I mean, not that I need to make another podcast, but I like learning about tools and things that increase our efficiency and productivity. I'm a bit of a shiny object squirrel when it comes to those things. So my job and my for me is to make sure I don't get too distracted by those things. Now that being said, let's talk a little bit about um, segment one, number one, the thing that we talked about at the opening of the event was about, connecting with our future selves and valuing our future selves, and the question that I asked the audience was, "Have you ever really thought about whether about if you care about your future self and how you care about your future self? Have you considered that question?" And I posed this question because I believe that the power of connecting with our future selves is is like having a roadmap for our lives that helps us make choices today that will ultimately align with the person that we want to become. And I've said this before, when we visualize ourselves in the future as entrepreneurs, business owners, ambitious individuals in this beautiful, gorgeous planet, um, if we when we decide that we want to have, do, or become the next greatest version of our most authentic selves, when we want to step into that new leadership role, have that new career, leave corporate to start a business, create a new startup with venture funding, go back to school, whatever that concept is that you have of yourself that's out in front of you in the future, you immediately tell yourself, you've immediately told the universe that the version of me currently that I am is not where I want to be. Now, that doesn't mean you're not good enough. That doesn't mean that you don't like yourself, but it does mean I want to grow. And it does mean I want to grow into something better and bigger with these goals in mind. And when you do that, the universe will begin to put into place all of those things that you're supposed to be working on to get stronger, better, faster, right? Especially if they align with the idea, the goal that you have in your future. So when we visualize ourselves, right, what does success look like for us in 2025 and beyond? Um, have you written a letter to your future self to share your hopes and your dreams? Have you scheduled meetings with your future self on your calendar to check in on your goals and your intentions to see if they're in alignment? Uh, I talked about this in the event with people who just sort of raised your hand and took a poll and temperature test. When we throughout our weeks and throughout our daily regimen and our daily schedules, we have the option and the opportunity to hit the snooze button on life. We have the option and the opportunity to move our schedule around and accommodate other people before ourselves. We have the opportunity and the option to put ourselves last at the bottom of the list, make the family, the friends, the appointments, the money, everything else a priority over ourselves. So, your brain is tracking this information. Your brain is marking this down. Your brain is keeping track of this. And when you decide you want to have, do, or become some version of yourself and step into some amazing thing, your brain says, wait a minute, you didn't make us a priority for the last year. Like we've been put aside 9 times out of 10. Why would you think we're ready to step into a bigger role? We can't even take care of ourselves, let alone step into this huge responsibility. Think about that. The brain knows, your brain tracks. So if you're going to participate in future proofing your success, you got to make sure that not only is your brain on board, but you're doing all the little steps that it takes of self love and integrity by honoring where you are and honoring who you are and how you are, by not pushing yourself to the bottom of the list. So I invite you, as we head into 2025, write down that priority list, put it up on a board on a wall, make sure that you're at the top. You want to put God up there, the universe, or something like that. You want to make family right in here. They can't have a family without you. They can't be successful without you. Do you understand what I'm saying? You are up here at the top. You've got to be, and you have to start thinking of yourself that way. It's not selfish, it's self love, it's self interest. So now, that was segment 2, where we connected with our future self and asked all those questions. We asked the question about what do we think about our future selves. I asked this because a study that I love, and I've mentioned it many times before, I think on here, was by Hal Hershfeld, the psychologist out of award-winning psychologist and author out of UCLA, that mapped the brain. And when we thought about ourselves in the future, when we thought about people we knew in the future, when we thought about things and people we didn't know in the future, our brain, interestingly enough, puts things in specific categories. If we know them and we like them and we want them to succeed, they go over here. If we don't know them, we don't like them, and we don't care if they succeed, they go over there. And that brain lights up. Well, an interesting thing happened when we started thinking about our future selves. It fell in the other category. It fell in the category that we didn't care about, because our brain doesn't look at our future selves as a real individual, as a real human to care about. There's nothing tangible or physical in relation to that idea of ourselves in the future, right? So the steps I've put together on future proofing your success, along with making fear your friend, help you engage with yourself in ways that ensure that when you start thinking about your future self, your brain goes, aha, I know that person. I know him. He's important. We want to make sure that everything he's doing gets lined up and is successful. So let's make sure we put this over in the important side of the brain. Now, segment 3 in the show, the program, at the event workshop, if you want to call it that, was turning fear into action. Um, we all know fear is a natural part of our growth and our lives. We're not going to get rid of it. It doesn't have to be something that holds us back. It can actually be a very powerful motivator and a catalyst for change. But fear is this part of ourselves. It's just not gonna go away. You can't kill it, destroy it, break it down, overcome it. It is literally a signal from your mind and your body alerting you to something important and valuable. Now, that could be many different things, obviously. It could be a car rushing down the street. That's a type of fear. We have psychological fear, emotional fear, physical fear, spiritual fear. I could imagine you'd have spiritual fear. Um, all the different areas where we experience fear, right? Once it's in that main category, the subcategories of that come anxiety, worry, um, I just that went blank. But anyway, there's a lot of different words for these feelings, and I want you to begin thinking about getting in touch with those words. Use better words, use more words. Don't just say, I'm afraid. You're not. You're something very, very specific. I feel I'm not worthy of this goal. I feel uncomfortable when I try to blah, 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 right? Become the next version, do this thing, step in front of people, get up and speak at a meeting, present my sales pitch. That's not fear. That's you associating with an emotion or a feeling that has you questioning whether or not you're capable or worthy of doing the very next thing that's in front of you. It's not fear that you're experiencing. It's a misunderstanding of what the risks are for you if you do succeed at doing it and if you don't succeed at doing it. That's information. That's data. And you want to make sure you have as much of that as you possibly can. So you want to make sure you're in touch with that data. You're writing it down. You're taking notes on it. You're collecting that information. You're not just going, oh, I guess I'm afraid, and then walking on by. That doesn't work, right? So the if fear is going to be a catalyst for change, I offer in Making Free Your Friend the 4 F's framework, which is feel, foster, flip, and free. I've talked about this endlessly. I know you're probably sick of it, but I'm not, and that's what I do. It's my specialty. That's my niche, my niche. I'm gonna, I'll figure it out. Uh, oh gosh, I just realized I probably said the word "but" a few times. I'm gonna have to go back and count how many of those are in this. I put a quarter in a jar for every one of those I've said. Feel, obviously, we gotta feel and acknowledge those fears. We need to name them. We need to identify them. We really, really need to get in touch with them so we can understand what they are. Foster. You must begin to foster a relationship with your fears. You've got to get curious about when they come up. What are they telling you? What are they telling you when they're around the corner from things that are happening in the moment? Or if you're thinking about something in the future and there's trepidation. You really should understand exactly what that fear is. You really need to know why it's coming up and how it's affecting you both mentally, physically, and emotionally. Then we go on to step 4, flip, 3, flip, which is to flip our relationship, flip our mindset, change our perspective on fear. As we foster that relationship, we can begin to step back a little bit more, get more information. And fear no longer looks like fear, actually. It becomes a whole lot of other things for us. It becomes data, it becomes milestones along the path. It becomes obstacles that we go, aha, I better be paying attention to that one. So I'm ready to handle that when that comes up for me. And then finally, 4, release your fear. That's free. The 4th F in Making Fear Your Friend, which is to free your fear, right? Um, this is so that you can be free to go on to taking on bigger, larger, beautiful goals and taking those actionable steps, right? So if you could share those strategies, right, of turning fear into action, mindset reframing, building resilience, structured goal setting, there's a lot of different things that we could do. So, um, segment 4 was future-proofing our fear with apps, tax, and support. I love my apps and my tech. I love these things. I love any of those things that can help me get better at what I do. In fact, I'm getting certified in AI as an AI consultant. I'm adding that to my little belt of tools, mainly because I love AI. I think it's super fascinating and I'm a geek about it. Number 2, I know that it is not, my friend just said this yesterday, it's not the future, it's already here. But it is going to shape the rest of our future. It's going to shape all of our futures in every segment of every industry across the planet, period. It's not going away. It's gonna cover everything. It's gonna blanket this planet and all kinds of different things, and if you're not prepared and you're not on board, you're way, way, way behind. Now, you could be a consumer of AI, and you could participate later on, and you could benefit from what it does for your life without even knowing about it, and that's totally fine. But that's not how I wanna operate. I wanna be ahead of that curve, I wanna be in front of it, and I really wanna be out in front addressing it. So I will be hosting AI conversations here on the platform at the Ascend Hub to talk about the future of tech and AI, and to have some wonderful people coming on to share those experiences and some of those apps as we discover, how they can help us be more productive and more efficient. as entrepreneurs and business people. Now, some of the tools that I suggested in this event for future proofing your success to help you engage with your future self is on journaling. I have a number of journals that I use that I love. I love to write these things down physically because it really connects me with the words and my intentions, and it slows me down. I talk super fast. My brain operates this way. But if I can just take the time and write these things down, I like to step into the future about 5 or 10 years. I like to stand there in the future and look back and go, here are all the things that I've accomplished. Here are all the things my business did. Here's the scale and growth we've achieved and all the wonderful things and impact that we've created. And I like to stand in that place and really imagine what it's like for me there. In fact, I did one where I accepted an award, which I thought was pretty cool, on an acceptance speech, which I thought was kind of neat. You can use journaling apps like AI-powered journaling apps, um, to track those things. Voice notes AI is a really good one that I've been using recently, and one that I'm switching over to now is called MEM It's memory. It's like a knowledge management second brain, type of AI, and I'll be using that, I think, instead of moving all my voice notes and things into there, because it also takes everything and puts it into other usable formats for me, which is, like blog posts, social media posts, actionable steps and items, turning it into material and content and programming that I can then use to put it somewhere else. And then it also comes up with ideas and thoughts about things that maybe I didn't think of by catching patterns in my entries across time, which I think is pretty cool. Second is, of course, calendar integration. Everybody uses calendars. If you're not, I don't know who you are. Um, Take a look at making meetings with yourself on the calendar, just 30 minutes a week. Record that meeting. Go back through all the ideas and thoughts and things that you have. Look at your schedule. Look at the meetings you have with everybody else. Look at the notes and things that you've taken and share that verbally. Now, I like to use a note taker, an AI meeting note taker like Fathom, Otter. I think Notion does this as well, but I like to use Fireflies. I really love it. And I record the meeting with myself so that I can capture my ongoing thoughts. And I will go back through the emails of this week and I'll be like, oh, I got to get back to so and so about this. I want to make sure that I talk about X, Y, and Z. The last time that we spoke, I remember mentioning this, and my mind just helps track some of those things. And then it gives me a summary, breaks everything down. If I have any cool things that I've said or little cool quotes that I've come up with or whatever, I pull those quotes so I can use them in my social media and in my other work. Because I'm also planning on writing a book by the end of 2025. So a lot of this material is going to go into another AI that I'm using to capture all this stuff and put it into a document like that. Next is task management apps. I'm sure everybody's got tons of them. Todoist, Asana, things like that. If you guys have task management apps that you use, let me know. I'd love to hear about it. Love to know about it. AI meeting summaries, like I said, Fireflies, Fathom, Otter. Um, those are all great meeting summary notes. You should be having them and using them in all your meetings so that you can capture. We think 90 miles a minute, and it's totally fine. But being able to remember everything you said in a meeting, being able to physically handwrite all that stuff down, I like to be in the moment. I like to think off the cuff, and I like to be, spontaneous in those times. And I can't do that when I'm busy trying to write what you said. I don't have time for that. So I would rather the AI to capture what you said. So I'm listening, right? I'm intently listening on what you say. So I know that I can respond accordingly and appropriately. Last is there's some digital time capsules. Those are fun if you want to use platforms like Future Me, where you write a letter to yourself, you put something in the capsule, you write a note to yourself. You can physically do that as well and send it in the mail. Pretty cool. I think the government has a thing that kids can do for that, where they can write letters to themselves and then it gets sent back to them at a certain time in the future. And then AI for goal setting. Goalscapes and strides can provide personalized recommendations for certain types of insights that you want to achieve for your goals. You write them all in there and it helps guide you on taking certain actionable steps over time to get to those goals and monitoring your progress, which I think is pretty cool. Last, as we close out, future proofing our success is it takes work, it takes effort, it takes habits, it takes thought. And I want you to remember that your future is super important. to you. It's important to the rest of us too, because if you don't get your ideas and your thoughts and your magic and your light out there into the world, how are we going to create the kind of impact that we want to create? I think it's crucial and it's important that we do that. And ensuring that that future is rock solid and successful is part of what I want to help you do every single day with this platform at Ascend Hub, with my motivational speaking or my coaching, my workshops, you name it. All of those things are really designed in ways to help you holistically across all fronts be successful. So as we move into 2025, there's a lot of work for me to do to get this stuff up on Ascend Hub, to get more material and content on there so valuable to everyone. I wanted to mention to you the Founders Podcast. Founders, Founder, the Founders Podcast. The gentleman who and I just forgot his name, I apologize for this. The guy who hosts it's incredible, and he does all these biographies. He reads all these biographies from these incredible, leaders and executives and founders, people like Steve Jobs and steel giants, like Rockefeller, and train giants and everything. We're talking over 100 years here, but he's got like 300 some odd different biographies he's read. What I find fascinating is how he ties these consistent themes and actions and stuff that real leaders and brilliant people seem to do to become successful. And he takes them and he digests them down for you and he like pulls them out and has this great little 1 hour dialogue, deep dive. Um, to share those insights with you. And I gave away 3 biographies at my event this past week, pull a name out of a hat, letting them know about founders, and that's how I discovered about these biographies, and I will be reading them. But, I encourage you to check that out. It's a really great podcast. You can find it on all your things, and so, yeah, check me out on my podcast too, Fearless Thinking Over the Fearless Road. You can check it out on Apple Podcasts or any of the other platforms. You can also find it on YouTube. I'm your host, Michael Devous. This is Fearless Thinking. Welcome to 2025, future-proofing your success, uh, in 2025 and beyond. You know, make for your friend. Do some incredible things this week. Do some fearless thinking. I'll see you next Monday with some new and important news and information about making for your friend and future proofing your success. So, bye, everybody. Have a wonderful week.
This has been a Fearless World Network production, brought to you by Devous Media Holdings, LLC.